So I'm just gonna warn y'all ahead of time that these topics I can talk about, there's gonna be probably a lot of me ranting. There's gonna be a lot of frustration. It's probably gonna get depressing at a couple of points. And I know I'm quite behind on these headlines. They've been out for a while, but it's better late now than never. It's just that a lot of these things that are going on, whether it's Formula One or horse racing, it's just really making me frustrated. And I'm not gonna lie, there's just some points where I felt like throwing myself through the wall. Let's just get into the first headline. So the first headline for today, it has been rumored for as long as I can remember, but unfortunately the day has come. Belgian Grand Prix contract extension has been finalized. It's going until 2031. However, it will not be on the calendar in 2028 or 2030. The race will only alternate on odd number years. Spa-Francorchamps isn't the only historic European circuit which may stop being a yearly destination for Formula One. F1 hosts 2 races a year in Italy at Monza and Imola, but the long-term future of Imola is unclear. The deal for Spain's Circuit de Catalunya expires next year, with a new street race arrives in the Spanish capital Madrid. F1 hasn't said who might host. In the years when Belgium is off the calendar, rotating between venues could be a way to return to some markets without committing to an annual event. So my problem is, specifically, with these rotating races, out of all races you're going to pick to rotate, you're going to pick Spa-Francorchamps, one of the most historic events which everyone looks forward to. I know the racing isn't the best, definitely, but there's still, like, every year it seems to hold some pretty good moments. But now you're just going to replace it? A fan favorite that has been on the calendar for this long, and this is how you're going to treat it, when you have a bunch of crap circuits that are on the calendar, where in the Middle East, the US even, I still hate Miami. I know 2024 has been exciting, but other factors still kind of played into that in order for it to be good. It's just a complete conflict of interest, in my opinion, when it comes to Liberty Media and Formula One. Just, I hate that we're focusing on removing races from great circuits like Spa-Francorchamps in order to accommodate these new markets. Like, in my opinion, there's just some regions with too many races. The Middle East, in my opinion, has too many races. Qatar, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, they're all crap circuits that kind of don't deserve to be there. The US, I know I'm American, but they still don't deserve 3 races. I'm going to keep shouting that for as much as I can. It's just that they don't deserve 3 races. That's just how I feel about it. And especially with the potential spots that could be there for new markets, you're instead going to do all these, like, potentially new circuits that may or may not even be good. Like, the Madrid circuit map looks like garbage to me. There's, like, no good overtaking spots. There's too many high-speed areas. Maybe even some safety concerns regarding that circuit. We had that safety concern regarding Saudi Arabia before, which, at least that track, in some cases, was able to put on some good racing. So 2028 and 2030, those are the years this track's not going to be on the calendar. We know a bunch of tracks across the world have been eyeing that 2026 or 2027 year mark, which I've been talking about for a while. That's Korea, Malaysia, South Africa, or Rwanda. Only thing is, this is 2020 and 2030. What could go there in those spots? Maybe there's something in the mix to where one of these 4 tracks that I mentioned could get an alternate deal, sort of. Like, we could see Rwanda at some point be there, because I know the talks seem to be it's going to be a permanent circuit built in Rwanda. And at least first optics, they look good for the track. But we also know Kyalami, Korea, and Malaysia are still trying their damnedest to get an F1 race. So who the heck knows what's going to happen. And I know this probably isn't going to be likely, but imagine if Hockenheim could get an alternate deal. Imagine if, I know this might not be as popular, maybe it is, who knows, Istanbul Park. I know that track also probably is rumored to want an F1 race back. It's just that I don't see those two tracks coming along because, again, Liberty Media is going to prioritize money. That's unfortunately how it is. It doesn't matter if it's another freaking Middle Eastern track or one of the 4 potentially new races that are going to come along. Liberty Media just seems to want money over quality tracks for the fans. It's unfortunately how it is. And I wish I could end this video there, but for the world of horse racing, it is once again going to be a sad time, especially if you live in California. Northern California horse racing revival ends with impacts we felt across the state. This comes from Sports Business Journal, as the Golden State Racing meet at Pleasanton has unfortunately been a complete failure. The track has unfortunately received very little business during its November to December meet, which was supposed to replace Golden Gate Fields, which shut down, unfortunately, due to the nature of the reduced business, and just seems to not enough money and interest to actually be there in Northern California. There's going to be no permanent facility for Northern California horse racing. As you can see by the paragraph here, the California Authority of Racing Fairs, aka CARF, they're the governing body in California in charge of multiple fair racetracks. Sacramento, Fresno, Ferndale, even Pleasanton. The short meets that usually last a couple of weeks that you see at those tracks, those are fair meets. They run with their county and city fairs. As you probably know by my Instagram, I've been to the Fresno Fair quite a few times. But unfortunately, CARF has voted unanimously to withdraw its application for a Golden State Racing meet at Pleasanton from December 25th to June 10th. The move is not unexpected, as the initial foray into fall/winter racing was met with a mutual handle less than expected, and subsequently led to purse cuts. As I said before, if you're not getting enough business in horse racing, that usually means there's not enough people betting on the races. And that's, of course, like the main source of money for a lot of horse racing tracks, especially in California, because in California, you're not allowed to build casinos out here. Yeah, there's some casinos on tribal reservations, but that's because it's tribal land. When it comes to like actual California land, you cannot build casinos. It is illegal. And with that, you're not going to have enough money to sustain these races. And that unfortunately led to purse cuts. That lack of business is also kind of why Golden Gate Fields shut down in the first place. The Stronach Group, which also owns Santa Anita, shut down Golden Gate Fields as there's just very little people showing up. There was, at least in their eyes, not enough business to sustain Golden Gate Fields. This also had a problem with Bay Meadows. I don't think it was in the same way as Golden Gate Fields and Pleasanton had, but in a way, it's also coming down to just real estate value, because as you know, real estate markets are like exploding. Everyone seems to be trying to build houses somewhere, and that has unfortunately led to some racetracks across the nation shut down. And I'm not just talking horse racing tracks. I'm also talking about short track racing, for like street stocks, sprint cars. We're now seeing this with Irwindale. We're seeing them shut down near LA. Greenville Pickens in South Carolina. is still really up in the air. And even more short tracks than that are kind of under threat of these real estate markets. It seems to not matter where you build these tracks, there's going to be real estate that are suddenly going to build around it. And if a passionate owner isn't willing to shut down the track, the government can potentially use eminent domain to force a track to shut down. And now, with the failure of Golden State Racing at Pleasanton, Northern California is now left with only fair meets. The short 2-week meets you will usually see at Ferndale, Fresno, Santa Rosa, Sacramento. It's just... I'm sorry, my throat is like really bad right now. Something's like caught in it, but... Yeah, California horse racing in the north is completely screwed. And just to emphasize the lack of money that some tracks may get due to a lack of business, it has a constant domino effect that will affect the tracks in so many ways. Bay Meadows luckily extended their racing for 2 more years, but they closed in 2008. The last official day was August 17th. The track stayed open a few days afterward, though, I read somewhere, but that was only for people to go in and do pari-mutuel betting on other tracks. And unfortunately, this is a big problem as a whole for horse racing. These racetracks across the nation can't seem to sustain themselves on horse racing alone. Popularity, for whatever reason, just continues to go down. There's just not many people nowadays interested in horse racing, and it sucks because I love this sport ever since I was old enough to remember. Like, I got into it when I was 9. Never looked back after that. I've always wished I can go down to Santa Anita and watch the races. Too bad I'm stuck in my house. But no one seems to have that same mindset anymore. As you know, with this younger generation, they seem to be just not caring when it comes to any sport that deals with animals. There's just some sports where I think they'd probably rather die than be caught watching this, because they seem to just have such an anti horse racing or whatever animal sport you could think of attitude. They just never seem to be interested. Horse racing is still trying hard to try and attract that younger audience, but no one seems to be interested, and that's kind of why we're seeing a lot of these Northern California racetracks shut down. Without those fans, you're not going to get business. Your track is going to have to cut purse money, even cut back on maintenance. My uncle actually went to Golden Gate Field once, and he said the track felt like it was a ghost town. He was actually the only fan there at the track. Luckily, some trainer's daughter was able to accompany him so he didn't feel alone. But no one was there. Hell, the attendance was so bad that I think the races didn't even air over TVG. Today it's now known as FanDuel TV, but unfortunately, without those tickets, without those betting dollars coming in, the track's going to go into disrepair. He said that the seats felt like they've been abandoned for so long. Like, the paint was peeling and getting discolored. There's a lot of bird poop even on the seats, which is disgusting. And with all of that, that's the whole domino effect, which led to Bay Meadows and Golden Gate Field shutting down. And nowadays, Bay Meadows, as you can tell by this map when I scroll up, the track is no longer there. It's all real estate, parks, just whatever you can think of. The track is completely gone, and it's never going to return again, unfortunately. Anyway, that's going to be my just very depressing video on the state of both horse racing and the state of the Belgian Grand Prix and Formula One. I wish a lot more can be done to change both of these outcomes, but that's unfortunately the state I'm currently having to deal with. I hope something is done to save horse racing, but I honestly don't see that coming. We just gotta hope that some very wealthy people who are very passionate about the sport come in and save these racetracks, because without them, horse racing is going to continue to struggle, and we're gonna see a lot more controversy and a lot more angry feelings towards those in charge. So if you want to see more content like this and want to keep up with the state of horse racing here in California, please like and subscribe. It'll mean a lot to the channel, and I'll see you all another time.